Art is a selective recreation of reality according to an artist's metaphysical value judgments. Ayn Rand. The art of photography is dying, and there's no question about that. I mean, camera sales are way down as one measure of how the art is dying. And I'm not, and you could argue, well, everybody's taking pictures with their phone, but it's not really art of photography, is it? And that's what I've been trying to do, is why is photography dying? I mean, that really is the existential question I've been grappling with, because I feel it myself, okay? And I tried to blame it on digital, I tried to blame it on people not using film. All of those are anecdotal, but the real bottom line comes down to two things, in my opinion. And those two things are honesty, integrity, kind of the same sides, different sides of the same coin in a way, and a value judgment. So if we take Ayn Rand's definition of art, it's a recreation of reality based upon the artist's metaphysical value judgments. If you actually understand what that means, then clearly everybody who's saying art is whatever you feel it is, or if you say it's art, it's art. Not to get political here, but if you claim that you're, I'd like to claim that I'm a multimillionaire, but in reality, it's not true. And no matter how hard I believe it or wish it to be true, it's not true. I'm not, okay? Art is kind of the same way. Now, just because art is more difficult to define doesn't mean that it's indefinable or undefinable, not indefinable, undefinable. If it's undefinable, then it's meaningless, okay? Metaphysical, the study of fundamental concepts and questions about reality, existence, and knowledge, often exploring topics beyond the scope of observable physical phenomena. The great art deals with the metaphysical value judgments of the artist. And I'll offer a couple ideas that kind of reinforce that. A great photograph is a full expression of what one feels about what is being photographed in the deepest sense, and is thereby a true expression of what one feels about life in its entirety. Ansel Adams. So basically, Ansel Adams said the same thing as Ayn Rand. The clear realities of nature seen with the inner eye of the spirit reveal the ultimate echo of God. Ansel Adams. And so here we see that Ansel Adams' photography was based on his metaphysical value judgments regarding God. And if you think about Ansel Adams' photographs, and they come in clear view in your mind's eye, that's not too hard to see. And it's his expression of his values, his metaphysical value judgments in his photographs that resonate with the viewer. And he also had other quotes, there's always two participants in a photograph, the photographer and the audience, or the viewer. So that's a real clear example of how your metaphysical value judgments as an artist translate into your work. The success and or failure of your work is based upon how do those value judgments come through in your recreation of reality? Okay. And how does the audience react to that? Are they getting what you're laying down, to put it in the common vernacular? I think it's really clear to see that with Ansel Adams' work. Okay. He was looking for the echoes of God. I think he was successful, and I think it resonates. All right. Another example, and I use these guys a lot because they're pretty, you know, if you can't get it with them, you're not going to get it. All right. I try to photograph the unseen. It goes back to my early religious background of training to be a priest, of living with silence, discipline, and prayer, seeing the light on the altar and believing wholeheartedly there was a God, an unseen presence around us that's very powerful. Michael Kenna. And Michael Kenna has also said that he's looking for the places of reverence, of sacredness, of calmness, of peace. Those are his highest metaphysical value judgments. Not all the photographs of Ansel Adams or Michael Kenna fully realize the potential of what their metaphysical value judgments are, but enough do that they resonate and the photography and the art is successful. Okay. And why is photography dying? There is nothing worse than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept, Ansel Adams. We have a lot of really sharp images these days, but because I believe that one of the contributors to the dying of art photography is that the price of admission is very low. You don't have to think too much to get a result, and a really good result, an amazing result, a super sharp result, okay, with digital photography. But we have and we see a lot of very, very sharp images of very, very fuzzy concepts. I'll go a step further. Apply the ideas that I've just explored to your favorite YouTube photographer. Not me, okay, but you can. And if you want to apply these concepts to me, my work over the years, and I've never fully articulated it, but I have now. To me, my work, I've always been trying to capture, as Michael Kenna said, to photograph the unseen. And in a way, what I'm trying to photograph, my highest metaphysical values that I try to express in my photography is J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth. The idea, the sense, the feeling of magical, mystical, mythical. And when I look back on all my photographs over the bed, like look at my book and view it from that standpoint, even my cityscapes are kind of, you know, they're kind of timeless in a sense. Like I have a photograph of, it's on my website. I have a photograph of Union Station in Portland, Oregon. And other than the modern high-rises in the background, that could have been what Union Station looked like in the 1940s. And so it's got this kind of a mythical, like, what did it used to look like? What have we lost? What has time done to erase our past? These are all the metaphysical things that I explore. That's why I was so enchanted by, and I enjoyed photographing on the west side of Oregon years ago, because the Columbia River Gorge and the temperate rainforests of the Pacific Northwest are a very mythical and magical place. And yeah, so that's how it applies to my work. And I start getting excited if there's something old that's been around for a long time. Like I would love to go to England or Scotland and photograph the standing stones, things like that. That's the stuff that interests me. And the success or failure of my work, for me personally, is how well have I achieved that in my work? Well, some of the photographs I think work fairly well for my metaphysical values, okay? why is photography dying? Why is the art of photography dying? Let's go to all the popular YouTube photographers that you subscribe to and apply the principles that I've just explored to their photography. With very few exceptions. Some of them are just trying to make pretty pictures. Some of them are clearly just trying to illustrate their YouTube videos. I mean, when you look at their photography in its entirety, what are their highest metaphysical values that they are transmitting through their compositions, through their images, through their photographs? A lot of them are just trying to do the best they can with no real clear defined metaphysical values, in my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. And feel free to, you know, if you want to say, oh, this photographer is exploring these metaphysical values, I'd be really interested. I can't point you to anyone that I think has a clear, that's capturing, that doesn't have fuzzy concepts. Let me put it to you that way. Yeah, so it is what it is. I mean, you know, YouTube, the grind of throwing out a video every week is really can get difficult. Sometimes they come real easy. Sometimes you have to say, wait a minute, I'm not just going to put content. I mean, in the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've made like 4 or 5 videos. None of them made it to YouTube because they're not contributing anything. And so, but I've been thinking about this video for a long time because this video kind of really encapsulates everything that I've been thinking. And kind of is the real conclusion to the big question, which is what I've been playing with for the past year or so. Why is photography, the art of photography, dying? And so there it is. All right. Hopefully that was enlightening. I know this is one of those things where it doesn't really solve any problems, but it maybe hopefully makes some very difficult concepts clearer. I know it does for me, and putting it all into perspective. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like this kind of video. And I have my Patreon page, which I desperately need to put some content up there, and will be shortly. And other than that, we'll see you out there. Have a great one. Bye.